Hello precious ladies and gentlemen, my name is Charlene Otieno and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is KCTV. In KCTV we share our life experiences concerning toxic families and relationships, and it is meant to be educative and productive not only to the society but also to the families at large.
Hello, hi. I'm a lady aged 33 years. I'm turning 34. And I have my story about the fact that I'm coming from a family that has been toxic since I was a kid. I suffered the toxicity when I was very young. It started with my sister, where I used to be beaten. Yani kuchapwa ilikuwa kitu kana kwamba ni kitu cha kawaida. So every time I used to complain to my parents, and nobody will stand up for me. So my sister will go, maybe take alcohol, come, and then be scolded at because of doing so. But then I'll be the one paying for it. So he will come to the bedroom and beat me. Slowly, because of being beaten, especially my head, slowly I started developing some complications. So by the time I was the age of 8, I remember I went with my dad kungolewa meno, and then to have my tooth out, and I remember immediately after an injection I fainted. I didn't know it's something that was developing, so we took it easy because we were able to realize the situation, the health situation at the time. I got my tooth removed, and then we continued, but my sister kept beating me up to a point that I even have marks in my body, and still I had nobody to stand up with me. And now I remember now my mother gave birth to our last born, and my sister used to make me feel bad about myself. So she used to call me ugly, she used to call me names, and she used to even tell my friends that I don't take shower, I am ugly, I don't know fashion, and even I lost my esteem in the presence of my friends. So when our last born was born, my sister told me, our last born is so beautiful that you cannot be close to look like her. And it's something that used to break me every day. And when I rise to the issue, she still beat me. And then I will report it to my parents, but my parents will do nothing about it. And the fact that they will do nothing about it, it used to eat me slowly. So again, when I was I was turning 12, again he gave me some huge beating of the head, some huge blows, just because I was watching my favorite show at the television by that time, and she gave me huge blows, turned the station off, telling me that I don't deserve that and all that. And by the time I was 13, I was diagnosed with epilepsy. So being a medic, I tend to think that the beatings and the stress that my sister caused, and having a parents that will not protect me or stand with me, it made me feel, that situation made me feel as though it would have been the cause for epilepsy, in as much as epilepsy is idiopathic, but some like hiyo kuvurugwa kichwa naonekana kwamba ilichangia pali pakubwa. So it reached a point she was not able to beat me anymore. Now he started beating my younger sister because of bedwetting. Now every time she beats my younger sister will report to my parents. Still they will say it's me, I'm the problem of the family. Now I became somebody who used to carry the problems of the family, and it went on until I finished college, and I started looking for a way to get out of that family. So I even I got my firstborn. I remember I got my firstborn. No, before I got my firstborn, I remember my mom one day alinipata nikidiscipline my niece because she misbehaved, and I was disciplined in a good way. And then she told me that she has disowned me. So she told me like 3 times, I have disowned you, you are not my daughter. And she said that 3 times. When she said that, I had to leave the house. I only had 50 shillings in my hand, and then I went I met somebody through, by then Ekupa was up or Badu or anything. By that time it was to go. I met a guy there, and then we met at retreat center, the Catholic retreat center, Upper Thika, and he gave me 400, and he told me to go wherever I would go. So I had nowhere to go, and in the process of looking for a living, I got raped. I got raped, and then I went back home. I remember that guy alinipitishia kwenye mandizi hivi, and then I got raped the whole night. And then in the morning he dropped me at the roadside, and I had nothing to do. So I went to somebody, a friend of me, not really a friend, a student, my fellow student. We used to tulikuwa tunasoma naye when we were young. And I remember they were telling me they said in Kiswahili, you anuka ngono sana, but they didn't know the pain that I was going through. So I just went into the bathroom, I took a shower, slept, and then went back home. My mother realized I was sad. She asked me what's the problem, and I told her, together with my sister. I told them because I thought I couldn't trust on somebody who is a woman like me. So I told them that I'm raped, and they said, no, you are sick. I remember they told me I'm sick, I need a psychiatrist, nothing like rape. That was a mutual agreement and all that. So at night I was in my bed crying, and I told my mother via a text message. I told her, if you feel like I need a psychiatrist, then I'm sorry, because you will waste money for no reason. If you are not in a position to assist me get out of this thing, there's no problem. I'll know what I will do. But I know myself. I know it was not a mutual thing. Then days went, and then I was able to get a job, and I got my first pregnancy. Sex that was not consented. I don't want to call it rape, but it was sex that was not consented. And even with the use of condom, I still got pregnant. So I didn't understand why I used to hate my boss, and I decided to resign. By the time I'm resigning, that's when I'm realizing I'm pregnant. I called the guy, and he told me, you remove it or do whatever you want to do with it. And he said that I'm after his money. So I decided to keep my baby. He's now 8 years, and then by that time the first 3 months it was hectic. I used to go all over looking for a job, and I got a job. So after delivery, I told my parents, I cannot leave you with my kid because this is my own, so I don't need to give you more responsibility. So I decided to leave the house, and my mother told me, she actually waited for my father to go to the bathroom, and she told me that wherever you go, just know that you will always come to beg me for money, and you will never succeed. Utaishi kuhangaika kisha unakuja kunipigia magoti. So I went. I didn't know the power. By that time, I didn't know the power of the tongue. So I continued working. With a lot of hard work. And one day, from the blue, I think nikashukua na breakdown, and I just couldn't go to work, and I left my baby at my parents' house, and I went to stay with a man. Actually, I had not planned to stay with the man, but the man was pretending to be like a counselor to me. So he took advantage because I was vulnerable. I was going through a hard time, and he used to sleep with me every from morning to evening. He gives me food, then on top of me, giving food on top of me for 3 days. And when I tell him that I want to go, he will say that you will not go. I will give you everything and take care of your baby. But I asked this man, but my baby is at home. I've not breastfed for 3 days. I'm not comfortable. So my breasts, they started becoming engorged, and I told him I need to leave. But I told him I will not leave without him, so that he'll explain why I'm leaving. So when we went to my sister's place after leaving, the guy akusema anything of what he was actually saying, of what he was actually doing to me, the actions, the kind of rape thing. He never said that. And then My sister akanitetea nikarudi nyumbani. So when I went home, they got an opportunity to treat me even much more harder. So even my brother, who was financially stable, could not even support me because I had left job just like that. They were not even, they didn't care why I left the job. They didn't know that I felt overwhelmed at work, because at work I was also harassed, and when I ran to my family, I had no help. So they didn't understand that I was going through depression, and I broke down when I was kwa nyumba, and that night I decided to take my life. So I remember I took a knife, and they were actually, before I took my knife, I went to a certain counselor who did it for 2,000 per session, but she told me to pay later. Instead of her encouraging me, she started crying over the stories. She started crying, and she could only pray with me. I felt that was not enough. So I went back home, took a knife, and when it was quarter way, and imagine everybody in the house knows that I'm doing it. Everybody was upstairs, and I didn't understand why they would leave me downstairs when I was depressed. So I took a knife, and when it was quarter way, I remember I saw huge fire that was surpassing the roof, and I could feel the heat. It was so uncomfortable, and then I let out the knife. Then the fire disappeared. So in my own belief, because I'm a Christian, I believe that was some sign that I'll be headed to the wrong direction in the next life. So the moment I released the knife, I started bleeding. Nobody stood by me. So later I had to kneel down. So I survived that house by kneeling down. Even my studies, actually singemaliza, even my college, I had to kneel down for my fees to be paid. I had to kneel down again for me to be forgiven. And then I was able to get another job. I come from a wealthy family, and I was able to get a job at Nyeri County. I went there. My son kumbe had a congenital illness, malformity. It is called diaphragmatic hernia, and it had all the digestive system inside the hole, which pushed the lungs and the heart, making him have asthma, and he was almost having a cardiomegaly, the enlargement of the heart. But I didn't know, so my son was almost dying. I was spending money every time I get a job, and I could remember what my mother said. So anytime I get a job, that money will not ingenisaidia. It could ingeenda kwa hospitali, inaenda kwa mahospitali, inaenda kwa or I get fired for no good reason, or just the boss will just hate me for no reason. So nikaanza tena kukuwa na some hard time. I never visited home because staying at home for me, it was stressful. So I stayed there with my kid, and I remember the HB was 7. I'm epileptic. I was diagnosed with epilepsy at 13 years after harsh treatment, being beaten and all that, and also harsh treatment even at school. So I even suffered toxicity even with my class teacher, embarrassing me how I'm a bedwetter in the presence of the class, and it was so traumatizing. So my first suicidal, apart from the knife issue, my first suicidal attempt started when I was 14 years, when I took a barbed wire, nikajigwaruza mwili mzima. Still I thought hiyo I could not be able to take my life with that. So even with the knife, I tried to locate the artery at my neck. I was not able to connect to do that. So that's why I went to the abdomen. Anyway, back to Nyeri now. My son fell ill, and within a short time, again I was fired. So after I was fired, and then my parents came. They didn't know I was fired, but because I had refused to go back home, they came, and I told them I'm fired. They told me, there's no problem, just come home. No, they would kama kunibembeleza, but I tell them, when I come home, things do not go well. But they insisted that I should go home. Now I could not see myself and my son struggling that much. So I went back home, and that was 2018. I stayed for quite a while without a job, and a friend of mine by that time called me to Mombasa for a job, and I had to run away because they will not accept me to get to live the Nairobi region where I was born at. So I went to Mombasa. I stayed 1 month, and I told the house help, kindly everything, tell me how my daughter is doing, how my son is doing, and all that. So they were saying that my son alikuwa amekonda kwa sababu I'm not taking care of him the best way. They just didn't know that my son had congenital malformity. So every problem, even my son's congenital malformity, they said it's me. They didn't know I was drowning inside. Every time like my son mwili ingekonda yani ingiane ndani, yani as akiwa malnourished, they will say it's I'm the problem. So I left and I went to Mombasa, and within 2 days I was able to get a job. And as I was working there, again I suffered more rejection. But I didn't know what. But then my father one day sent me a message and told me that I will be that my son is taken to an orphanage. So I told him, even children, I told both my parents, even children at the orphanage, they still grow and become important people in the society. But because this is my son and he has a mother, I don't see the need of having him in the orphanage. And I requested them to tell me, basically, tell me that orphanage. I'll follow my son. Tell me that orphanage that you took my son to. They kept silent. Then I got another job with the county government of Kiambu, and I was sent the details by my brother. Then I was surprised, why are they now taking care of me after taking my son to the orphanage? Then I stopped whatever I was doing. Actually, I got fired again at Mombasa because the quality manager wanted to sleep with me, and I refused. Before the interview of a job at the county government of Kiambu, I had to take my documents that I left at Nyeri. When I came back, I found the house was in a mess. My younger sister is normally very lazy, so she doesn't like house chores. So my sister took the opportunity. She told me it's either I wash clothes or she beats me up. I told her, I will do everything you want me to do, but allow me to rest. I'm just from Mombasa to Nyeri, and then to Kiambu. Can you just let me pumzika kidogo, then I will. The moment I laid myself on bed, she came and akanishusha kwa stairs, akanivua nguo. She left me naked. She teared my clothing, left me naked in the presence of my son. And my son got traumatized. My younger sister took my son away. She beat me to almost to death. Akanigongesha kwa what do you call this? Akanigongesha kwa chuma za stairs. So akanigongesha kichwa changu pale na ikafura, akanigonga kweli. And then I ran out of strength. When I was naked, akaninua, akanilaza kwa kiti, akanitandika, gave me blows uncountable. And then akaenda kuchukua pasi kuniua, akasema I must make sure that you are dead. So he took that pasi kwenda kuniua. And I told her, yes, I'm okay, just kill me, but if you're taking care of my kid so that I will suffer, stop taking care of my kid. So fortunately he was not able to kill me, though the pasi kana kwamba ilikuwa imeenda kunifikia kwa kichwa, which actually haikunifikia because he changed his mind. Then I rushed, I wore a different clothing, nikaenda nikilia at my aunt's place, who is a pastor at Utawala. I went and I talked to my aunt. Nilikuwa nimefura, I had a black eye. It was so bad, the condition was so bad, and it needed urgent attention. So my father was called. So my father supported me, but he was so sad he could not be able to come the exact days. So life went on, and it reached a point that I got an accident the same year. My father will tell people that it seems she has a lot of money that anampeleka mtoto wake out. I told them I have nobody apart from my son, and I'm working hard for my son. So I took my son out to Nyali, Mombasa, ambapo niliangushwa na tuk-tuk. The rest wali survive apart from me. I rolled 5 times, and then I got another attack. Now after I got that attack, I was helped by strangers to reach to the hospitals. So I have marks on my left, the whole side of my whole left side, my breast, my arm, my left lower limb. And then because it was a public hospital, even if nilifanywa x-ray na wakaonekana kwamba that nimevunjika mkono, that I had a fractured upper limb, I was told I had to go back to Nairobi for further treatment. Nobody supported me with that, so I went back home. And my father was very happy to see me having an accident, because he was angry because I took my son for an outing to Hala Park. So after even I came kama nimewanunulia gifts, but nobody appreciated. Everybody had a gift, but nobody appreciated. And my father called like literally almost everyone, and anawambia tulifaulu, she got an accident, what, and he will laugh at me. So at night I could not sleep because of pain, and I had no painkillers. So I had saved some 26,000. I went to a private clinic, and I was done, nikafanywa plaster. And then because I didn't have money, the false skin that was on the breast had to be removed without anesthesia, which was very painful, understanding that the breast is sensitive. So, and also the wounds on my arm and my feet. So all that was done. It's supposed to be done. It's debridement. It's called debridement. It's supposed to be done in theater or kama you are under anesthesia. But because I didn't have money, nilivumilia uchungu kweli. Yani nyama yalitolewa kwenye titi, ilikuwa uchungu mpaka my nipple ilikuwa red, imetoka na ngozi kabisa, like kabisa nilikuwa nimelemewa. Then nikekwa plaster, and I remember that time that doctor akamwaga machozi. Then I called my relative, my father, to pick me. Akakataa, akasema he has no time for me, he's asleep. So my brother stole his vehicle, and then he came for me. But walinipata nikiwa njiani nang'ang'ana kutembea, ambapo sikuwa naweza kutembea. Then I reached the house, then wakanitenga tena vile nifika nyumbani. So I remember my sister telling her daughter, never go close to her. Kidonda yangu inaanza kunuka, sina usaidizi. So I would wash myself without strength. I could not even feed. My son could look at me and cry. I went to Nakuru with another job. My house helper harassed my children. By the time I was at Nakuru, I had to pick up my children again. Nikaenda Nakuru. Again, I was not paid, and finally I had to return home. My mother told me, return back home. So nikamwambia, nikikuja nyumbani mnanitesa, nikienda mbali amnitaki mazuri, what do you want? Nikaenda nyumbani. Kwenda nyumbani, she promised to start a business for me, a poultry business. Nikasubiri miezi miwili, haikufaulu. So I started my journey to the US, and my gadget, my phone, ikaibiwa. So I could not attend the classes because I didn't have a laptop. So my dreams to the abroad ikakatika. And then my sisters came over the Christmas. They started sneering me, snobbing me, showing me that I'm nothing, calling me I'm mad. I thank God by that time I had healed from depression, and I was no longer taking medication. But walikuwa wananiambia, they will tell my uncle, we are coming again. kutwa huyu mwanamke kwa hiyo boma tumtaki. But my mother still will not stand up for me. So I decided to run away last year, January, that is 2023 January. My friend from Ukunda called me and told me, just come, there are a lot of jobs. Nikaenda. I stayed for 1 week, but after nimeka hiyo 1 week, akona I'm not providing anything and I'm not getting a job, akanifukuza. So I used to sleep in the church, then nikafukuzwa kanisani. I started sleeping at the secretary's place kwake, where the secretary was staying. The compound wa kila mtu ameenda shughuli zake za kikazi because I didn't have a job, and his cousin was there who was a male. He tried to rape me, so I ran away again. Nikaenda pahali, I found a lady, and this lady was a stranger to me. Then he told me just stay with me. Akaanza kuniuza like prostitution. So I got my first client, but I just begged him. I told him I don't know how to do prostitution, so just give me 200. I give this lady because he wants 200. I don't know about prostitution. Then the lady akaanza kuniharass, and because I never gave her the 200, akanifukuza na akanirushia nguo kwa uso, akanigonga na suitcase. Mtoto wangu kule nyumbani ni amerudi, ameambiwa repeat shule. She repeated the school. She repeated the class. I'm sorry, not the school. He repeated the class. So I had a lot in my mind, and then because I was experiencing hard issues, even the pastors could not assist me. The wife to the pastor told me, you are a special case, in terms that they felt I'm not normal, and they told me, we will give you fare, you go, we don't want to see you because you never even gave us a testimony. You just come here and feed on our money, but you cannot give us a testimony. So I left the church and I went to another man's house because I was vulnerable. I had nowhere to go. So that man gave me food, and at night he raped me for 2 days. I could not walk after 2 days. I went to my pastor again. I told him, you see now I'm raped. And then he said, vumilia hapo, vumilia, because nobody will want to stay with you. Mapepo ndio mingi umejaza. So I realized it was a cult, and I had to walk out. And this man, Agiriama man, hata kwa ame testing, ametoa condom and everything. So I had to go for peps. Nikafaidika, nikameza peps. And then I got another man who wanted to assist me, only to realize he was gay na alikuwa anapenda kwenda kwa waganga. So I was not comfortable. So every time I would dream, have some funny dreams, akanipeleka kwa yule mganga alikuwa anaenda. And then nikashindwa kukaa hapo, nikatoroka, nikaangukia mwanamke mwingine because his gay. Nilipata like I found stool stuff on the sheet and on the na mpaka kwa towel. So I had to run away from that house, and then he would even not ask for sex. So I felt it was not normal. And then nikatoka, kumbe he used to sleep with white men. He's a guy, but he used to sleep with white men trying to make end meet. Na alikuwa jambazi because kulikuwa na bakora, panga, pen, knife, everything bad. Na kulikuwa na yale madawa ya kichawi, sijui wage nayo siku ngapi. Yani ilikuwa mixed herbs and evil spirits together. So I met another lady, 63 years old by that time. Akanisitiri. I didn't know now this was the highest witch. He used to have everything which you see what you see in Nigerian movies. Those stuffs were in her house. So she started showing me how I will akaanza kunifunza how to do witchcraft, how to mix spirits and herbs, and how to talk to the dead. And I didn't understand, but I decided to run away after a week, and I went to another man's house where before I even started praying, I vomited like half a bucket. I prayed with Psalms 35 and I vomited like half a bucket. And then that guy where I started staying, he started demanding for sex again. I refused for 2 weeks, akanifukuza. Sasa kulala kwa kibanda ikakuwa ni ngumu, so I had to go back to him. Then it was rape every day. For me to feed, I had to give him sex, and I didn't want. So for 3 months it was sex, and I fell pregnant. Nikamwambia, sasa now that I am pregnant, I told you unipatie pesa za family planning, you refused. So I fell pregnant, and he was very happy because alijua hapo ndo atanishika. Ikafika pali ameanza kunipiga, he started beating me and all that. Ikafika pali nikamwambia I'm missing home, even though it was not true. Nikamwambia I'm missing home because he knows my story. They know my story, where I'm coming from. And then nikaenda, akanipatia pesa, nikaenda nyumbani, and I could not keep the baby because I was not comfortable, because he wanted to make me a second wife at my mother's place with a third child. So when I disclosed to my mother that I'm pregnant, he was so angry, calling me immoral, a prostitute and all that. So I had to just get rid of the baby. I could not stand the namings, and now they started bringing problems. Now all of us, as days goes on, as days went on, I met Charlene. When I met Charlene and akaniingiza kwa group yake, I realized something called boundaries, setting boundaries amongst people who are toxic and narcissists, or people who don't wish you to be at your best. And I stood my ground. I went, looked for a lawyer and a pro bono, and I went to the police station, and I told my mom I'm ready to call even the church elders so that we'll sit down, you give me what belongs to me and my children, and I will go for good and forget where I'm coming from. And we had some argument back and forth, but my mother stood up with me all of a sudden through prayers, and now she's very supportive. I've noticed she has really changed. As soon as we make her boundaries, she's supportive, and now I thank God I have a decent job. I thank God my children are now stable. We are now stable, and I feel I'm healed. In as much I will still say that I'm in the process. So thank you, Charlene, for this platform, because it is through you that I was able to get healed, and it is through you that I was able to change my mother. So my mother went and told the other siblings that she will never favor any child. She will stand in the middle. And I told my mom, now that you love me, I want you to get rid of all the curses. As soon as she did that, I got a job, and I was given I'm given a higher rank that I'm beginning soon. So I thank God for Charlene. I thank God for Charlene and her team. And thank you for this platform. Thank you.